Okay, so we're not going to do a picture. I actually want to like just do the words with this. So like when you're subtracting everything, when you have parentheses, what you want to think of, oh, for crying out loud. It's like repelling me today. Okay. What you should think about is like if you did like think about it in words. So like when you're doing this, it would be like 10 minus, okay? But then what you're going to minus is 2 and 3. So what you're subtracting is both of those. So like when we get to some of these like crazies over here, when you're doing that subtraction outside of grouping, it means you're subtracting all the things in there. Okay, so I mean, I know a lot of you can just do that. It's not that hard. It's 10 minus 5, right? But it's because you're doing 10 and then you're doing like minus 2 and minus 3. You have to subtract both of them. Okay, so when you're doing the subtraction, make sure you distribute the negative sign. So like for this one, you have a minus and then these big parentheses. Okay, so what that means is you leave whatever's at the front. So it'd be A plus 6B, but then you have to distribute that negative. So it'd be minus A. And then since it's already subtraction, this is going to be plus 6B. And like a lot of people look at this and they're like, oh, this is easy. Like I know how to add and subtract. But the thing is you cannot mess up like ever. Okay, so you have to be extremely, extremely diligent with it because when you do combine these, that would be what 12B because the A's cancel and then the B's add up to 12. Okay, so just be very, very careful with that. So then like when they get psycho, like something like this, you just want to pay attention to like, okay, for this piece of it, okay, you're going to distribute the 2. So we've done that before. So you're distributing 2 times x, 2 times 3y. But then with this piece, okay, imagine distributing like a negative 1. Do you know what I mean? Like it's an invisible 1 in front of that. So you're distributing the negative to both terms. So what I'm going to write it as is minus x and plus 2y. Okay, so you're going to distribute the minus sign and change the signs. And then for the 5, again, we've got the plus sign. So you're going to go plus 10x minus 5y. Okay, so you do each of them kind of separately and they're separated by addition or subtraction. And then now you're just going to combine your like terms and don't mess up. Okay, so usually I like underline it. Right, so 2 minus 1 is 1, plus 10 is 11, so it'd be 11x, and then you do the y's. So 2y, 6y is 8, minus 5 is 3. Okay. So the negative signs are what's going to drive you insane, okay? And then even more crazy, like when there's like parentheses everywhere, it's going to drive you nuts. So start in like the inside parentheses and work your way out. Okay. So like this y minus, I'm going to keep the 2z. I'm going to do the plus y, but I'm going to work with that one parenthesis here. So this guy. Okay. So I need to work with that parenthesis. Pay attention that you're distributing a negative 3y. So you're distributing a negative 3 to y and to z. So that's now negative 3y, negative 3z. Okay. Now that's all in the brackets. So I'm going to combine those. So I'm going to do y minus bracket, and I'm going to combine as much as I can. So I'm going to combine all these, so I get, what, negative 2y and negative z. You could have it negative z and minus 2y too. It doesn't matter. It's just usually written alphabetically, so if you want something to go off of. And then now you're distributing this negative to the parenthesis. So you're not distributing y, because y is like not right next to it, you know? You're distributing essentially like an invisible -1 to all the terms. So it ends up being y, and then you change the sign essentially on the term. So it'd be plus 2y plus z. So you have to distribute that negative. So the y is just kind of off to the side. This is the sign that's right next to it. So if it's a number, you're going to multiply the number right next to it. But if it's just a minus sign, you're just distributing a minus sign. And then your grand finale is combining your like terms. So that'd be 3y plus z. Okay. So I'd like you to try the next one. It's kind of terrifying with all the minus signs everywhere. It's going to drive you nuts. But see if you can get it right without messing up. Because that is the key for all of it. Yeah. No, unfortunately. Oh, close, I think.
Can you distribute the negative to this and that?
Yeah, so that's positive, and then you have the 2a up there and the negatives. I think you're just missing work. Like, you should rewrite it every line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, I have to do my colors. Nice. Yeah, that's right. Nice. Yep. Yep. Yep.
I did
This
it.
one I should do.
What do I have to do? Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do it? Yep. Okay, this is right. But then you're dropping this chunk of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
So this is positive.
So you have to so you distribute this,
Yeah.
but then you have to rewrite the rest of it so you don't lose anything.
Okay.
The answer is A minus 3B. Okay, so barely kind of looking around here. Rewrite every line how it started above. So I did the minusing here. Then I combined. Okay, now I did another minus. And then I did another minus. So it was like a double negatives everywhere. So I worked inside out, and I just kept rewriting parentheses and brackets until I started distributing negative signs. So again, this one distribute negative, that's where this comes from. And then everything else is in black that I didn't change. And then all of this I just combined. Okay. Then I dealt with that negative, so I dropped the parenthesis, and then dealt with that negative, dropped the bracket, and then I was done. So, that one's a hard one too, so. Okay, now kind of changing gears are these common factors. Now, you don't have to do this with every problem. I'm just, so you can kind of get what's going on here. So what you do is you take each term. It's rebelling against me again, so that's cool. You take each term and you're going to break it down into factors. So you're going to go 36, x, 4x squared, y squared, and then 24, xy cubed. Okay. So like the trick with the numbers is I usually start with the smallest number being 4. Okay. And do you notice how 4 goes in the other ones? So like 4 goes into 36. Okay. So we get 4 times 9. 4 goes into 24. 4 times 6. So that's kind of my approach for the numbers. I start with the smallest one and see what goes into it and see if it goes into the other numbers. Okay. Then what I do is I'll break up the variables. So like this one is an X. This one, we've got 2 X's and 2 Y's. And then this one, we have 1 X and 3 Y's being all multiplied together. So you make up all your factors. And then the common factors are literally what it sounds like. What's in common with all of them? So like for the numbers, I usually am like, okay, what number goes into all of them? So this is 4. So 4 goes into all of them. And then I see like what's the most amount of X's they have in common. So like this one looks like they only have 1. And then do you see how this one doesn't have any Y's? So that's not a common factor. So the answer to this one would be 4X. That's the common factor of each term. So it's like, what is something that goes into all of them? So 4 goes into all the numbers, and then there's at least 1 X in every term. Okay. So that's like the long way to do it, is to list it out and like trying to figure out what's in the same. And I'll do it maybe on not this one, but the next one. But here, like first you're going to look at the numbers and figure out like what's the most amount, like what's the biggest number that goes into all of them, right? So this one's going to be 7, because 7 goes into 7, goes into 21, goes into 14. And then what you're going to do is look at the X's. So think of them written out. You've got 5 of them in the first one, 2 in the second, 2 in the third. So the ones they have in common is at least 2 X's, so X squared. And then same for the Y's. You have cubed to the 4th and cubed again. So what they all have in common is at least 3 Y's. So that would be your common factor for that one. Okay. So maybe I'll just write it out on that next one and then we'll try it. So like maybe I'll just do it for this one, because like with the numbers on this one, they're kind of all over the place. So if I did 30x to the 6y cubed, I'd like break that up. And then I would do the 50. The signs you don't really have to pay attention to when you're doing this. And then your 14 x squared y cubed. So like if I did 14 right now, 14 doesn't go into 50. It doesn't go into 30. So I'd have to think of like, what are the factors of 14? Okay, 2 and 7. 7 going into them? No, 2 does. You see how 2 goes into all of them. So like when I break this down, I'll do 2 times 7, 2 x's, 3 y's. And then I'm going to make sure that these all start with 2, because the goal is to get what's in common. So this one is 2 times 25, and then we got 5 x's and 1 y. And then, oops, red. This would be 2 times 15, and then 6 x's. It's a little obnoxious, but that's fine. 6 x's, 3 y's. And then what you're doing is then figuring out how many they have in common. And that's your common factor. So we've got the 2's. We kind of already talked about that. And then we've got 1x, another x, and it looks like that's it, because this one only has 2 of them. And then as far as y's, you've got 1 y, and that's it. So your answer then would be what's in common: 2x squared and a y. So then if you didn't write it out, if you look at your x's, you have 2 here, 5 here, 6 there. That's why there's only 2 in common. There's 3 y's, 1 y, 3 y's. Y is only one. They all 3 of them have in common. So that's how you do them. Okay. These other guys almost are like too simple. They're hard, you know? So like for this one, like you do the numbers, right? But it's like 2 and this is an invisible 1. They don't have any numbers in common. It's just 1. But as far as the ends are concerned, we got 3 of them and 2 of them. So we would have 2 in common. So think about if you were to write them out, right? You'd have 3 on the top one, 2 on the bottom one. So 2's in common. Okay. Even this one, like how it looks too simple almost. It's harder because now you're looking at the numbers. So what number goes into both of them? That's the biggest. Cole, what number is the biggest that goes into both of those? 4. Yep, 4. And then you look at the variables next. So you're like x and then denied. Right? There's no x there. So this is literally it. That sometimes it's just that simple. It's just the one number. Okay. And then this one's mean because I've seen these guys because they use U's and V's. I feel like they're just out to get you at that point. So here you look at the numbers. You got 4, 4, 8. So 4 goes into all of them. And this is what I'm saying. Do you see how it's U, and then they do V to be mean? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like these tests, they're just trying to like get you sometimes. So it's like, just be careful because they'd have no variables in common because it's stupid V. Okay? Because there's no U in this one and there's no V in the other one. So it's literally 4. That's it. So it can be hard. All right. So then these were from the ASVAB AccuPlacer questions. So it's just simplifying. All the answers look kind of the same. So that's annoying. But what you're going to do is this is just straight up combining like terms, you need to look at which have the exact same variables. So you see how it's x squared y, x squared y. Those are the exact same. So you can combine them. So you can subtract them. So that's going to be a 3. So that's why these two are your contenders, essentially. 3x squared y. And then this one, you can't even do anything. It's just kind of on its own. So that's why A is the answer. Okay. Then 12, this is why I thought this question was mean. Okay. I think this question's really mean. Factor completely. Okay. So if I look at the 18, okay, if I do the 18, for me, I thought it was, I don't know, maybe we'll do like 3 and 6. I don't know what your brain came into or what you thought. But do you see how that could be B? Do you see the 3 and 6, A squared B cubed? It's wrong because it needs to be factored completely. So you need to change that 6 into 2 times 3. Isn't that mean? I thought that was mean. So we've got, you have to change it into all factors. So they changed the 3 because it's prime into 3 squared. 6 doesn't work because it's not prime. There's like other numbers it can like break up into. Okay. I thought that was mean. You guys don't have a reaction, hey? Can break up. Okay. So, all right. So as a worksheet, I'm going to have you skip like, I think I did